is that? Is he still living in Atlanta?
Still living in Atlanta. Just travels when he needs to.
That whole team works really well. I mean, there's a couple of guys that are in Dallas, but they're not really required to be on site. They can kind of travel around the outside community and stuff. And I don't think there's a requirement to live at the city, so you'll probably do the same thing. Wow, that's really cool.
So are you back in Minneapolis?
Still in Minneapolis. I was going back and forth to Atlanta quite a bit. But yeah, I've been still in Minneapolis. We've got an office there back there. Formerly CTEC has an office in Bloomington, which is close to the airport. I don't really have a requirement to be there, so I'll pop in here and there.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed lunch and the whole partners and got to walk around and see some of the displays and the tables and meet the folks that have been part of our story. Next up, hello everyone. Just take your seats. Next up, it's my pleasure to introduce Alexis Vidal, Senior Vice President of Commercial at ATR. Since joining ATR in 2023, Alexis has been instrumental in leading the company's global sales and marketing efforts, overseeing aircraft contracts and customer relations. With a background that spans roles at Airbus, Airbus helicopters, and Airbus commercial aircraft, Alexis brings a wealth of experience to his current position. More importantly, ATR has been a steadfast partner to the REA almost since the beginning. We've been friends institutionally for a long time, and your partnership and your sponsorship means more to us now than I can say. So please, everybody, join me in welcoming Alexis.
Thank you, Vi, and good afternoon. I think my mic doesn't work. Good afternoon. That works. Thank you very much. Thanks, Vi. We are thrilled to be here as ATR, to be a sponsor, to be a partner. And I must say we are excited as well to celebrate your 50th anniversary. As a matter of fact, we are also celebrating this summer our 40th anniversary of our presence of ATR in the US. That's how long-standing we've been here as a partner in the US as well, and that's great. I'm excited for ATR. That's a very good moment of time. We are growing our in-service fleet globally. We are growing our presence in every single region, and we are doubling our sales in the span of 2 years. So that's a good moment. But as well, I feel very humbled to be in front of you here today, to be in front of the leaders of the largest regional aviation market in the world. That commands a lot of respect. That commands us to listen to your needs and your challenges. I think you do have a lot of challenges, which I think we can turn into opportunities. So I'll walk you through a story about what we call a season for everything, starting with a little metaphor. A metaphor about us ending the summer season and entering into the fall season, but a fall that is not just as pretty as the picture where leaves turn brown, fall down the trees. That's pretty. I'm talking about the long fall of regional networks. One that has eliminated, since year 2000, 800 regional routes in domestic US. And you can feel how significant this is for communities that have lost direct air access to other communities, or even communities that have lost complete air service, gone. And as a leader in regional aircraft manufacturing, we cannot stay idle. We want to react. We want to offer solutions. We want to be part of that solution. A correlation to that is what we call winter coming, is the evolution of the regional aircraft fleets here in the US. Remember, the regional jet of 50-seater fleet was about 750 units, aircraft, 10 years ago. It's now about 300 plus aircraft, half the size. And if you look at the curves here, you have the dark curve, which we've displayed the regional jets like CRJ 200 and ERJs 140, 145s. That's a study we've been conducting with Georgia Tech, looking at what is the evolution of the fleet going forward. And given the age, the flight cycles, and you name it, we expect that fleet to basically extinct by 2035. You might tell me we can add, we can convert bigger modules like the CRJ 700 and convert that into CRJ 550. That's a great product, triple class, 50-seater. But the feedstock is limited. So that will only delay that extinction by maybe 5 years, as you see on the light curve here. So we have a problem, we have a challenge. What do we do with replacing these aircraft? Are we going to engage the whole industry, 76 seaters and more? Well, probably that's the trend that my predecessor on stage was surely explaining. But what is it for the communities behind? That just cannot have 70 seaters jets economically flying and connecting them. And that's where we have a fantastic opportunity. And I like to say, we are not just aviation specialists. As ATR, we feel like we are in the mobility sector. Because this is what we do, right? We transport people A to B, whether air, which is our expertise. People just want to move, right? So what we've been doing is analyzing a lot of data about the mobility patterns in the US. And to give you a ballpark figure, this is about 8 billion trips, all modes combined, cars, buses, trains, planes, you name it. That's about 8 billion trips per year. 75% of that trips are occurring between 100 and 400 nautical miles. That's what we believe is relevant for the regional aircraft manufacturer that we are. 75%, that equates to, of 8 billion, that equates to 6 billion. Now, do you have any idea of what is, remember this is all modes combined. What's the market share of air travel within those 6 billion trips? Any idea?
85%.
Wow, I'm impressed. Actually, and I'll rebound on that. 4%. But that, well, I think it commends a close. Actually, that's very relevant, 4%. If you look at other places in the world, sometimes it goes until 7, 8, 9%, but of course, depending on geography, depending on the culture of driving versus flying, that's different. I'm not saying US should go 9%. But what I'm saying, sorry, what is your name? Yves. Okay, Yves. If we were to turn 4% into 5%, that's basically 60 million trips. And I'm saying trips, or devices moving, in fact. It's maybe even more passengers, right? So we can, as an industry, work out and try to turn even more ground to air. And that's millions, in fact, tens of millions of passengers. And that's important that you have this in mind. And as we are geeks in mobility, I also couldn't resist showing that. What we've done is we've been monitoring 80 million mobile devices. Hear me, I didn't say tracking people, by the way, okay? Monitoring devices, that's important. Anonymous, okay? Now, what you get out of it is you can do a lot of things, because that's about 180 million trips corresponding to that, okay? So, long story short, we have defined 400 plus catchment areas, call it airport or metropolitan areas, in fact, where those devices are originating, and mapping the destinations. What you see on the screens are destinations of those devices, okay? And I'm not going to go too much into detail, but next door we have a mobility monitor demonstrator. You have a big screen on the ATR side. You will learn a lot more. My point here is there is a lot of mobility occurring which we can monitor and we can understand to transfer or to convert into air mobility. And I think that's where we, ATR, can be very instrumental doing so. So we've been working with Georgia Tech, we've been working with Seabury, we've been analyzing back and forth the market, and we believe there is a demand for 300 aircraft. Both to replace some jets where they are uneconomical, to revive air connectivity when routes have been closed, or even to shift mode from ground to air. That equates to about 300 aircraft. Now the challenge as a manufacturer is how do we capture that market? How do we convince you airlines that we have the right product to do so? And of course I could go on and on and on about marketing my, my aircraft. But maybe two figures. That's what I call the new spring for regional aviation. An ATR, turboprop, would deliver 30% cost savings, so 30% less fuel and less operating costs, than a regional jet of 50 seats. That equates to about $2 million of cost saving, or turning that into profit if you wish. That's significant. Like, I don't know about you, but like realizing a saving like this on a one aircraft basis is a game changer. Now you realize that the jets that are uneconomical on a route can be replaced by a much more affordable and profitable aircraft, just because we are burning less fuel and being less intensive on maintenance. And that, I think, is what's important for the regional aviation in the world and in the US. You might say, yes, but the turboprops, doesn't work in the US, the cabin is not right, or you name it, right? What we have been defining, we have been unveiling that this week, is we've been listening to customers, we've been working out on what are the customer requirements, the passenger requirements, including for major airlines. Remember I talked about the CRJ 550 earlier, 5 minutes ago? We've been looking at how can we render a 50-seater cabin in an ATR 72 adequate for the US market. And this is what we have done. The product is defined. Triple class, 50 seats, 10 first at the front, 20 premium, 20 economy. You have large overhead bins, carry-on luggage for every single passenger. That's important. And then we've been as far as looking at having a forward door, the galleys at the front, and a jet boarding bridge capability, so passengers can come in through a jet boarding bridge. That's important for the US market. That's what we want to do. And with that product, I think we're going to have a winner on recreating the routes that we were talking about. So, again, I could go on and on. That's just a snapshot, but we can discuss much later, if you wish, offline. Globally speaking, I think we have a record of hopefully listening to customers and adapting our market, adapting our products. I'll give you, I think you can read the figures anyway. My point was to focus on two customer cases. FedEx. We've been developing a new build, purpose-built freighter from the factory line for FedEx. They ordered 30. They in fact topped up with 10 more orders earlier this year. We announced that in April 2025. This is how serious we are at adapting our product to meet the demand and the requirement of the US market. Second example, JSX. You've been seeing in the news 3 months ago, in June, we have unveiled a partnership whereby, and Alexis here on the room, whereby JSX will launch operations with ATR 42 on the Part 135 market, on the 30-seat configuration. That's game-changing for the aviation industry here, because we are going to tap into a market and open new opportunities, like 1,000 airports become accessible because we have the right platform. Think about it. Can I quote you on half double, Alex?
Sure, go for it.
Because I love it. Here's my inspiration for marketing, by the way. And you tell me if I got it wrong. Half the fuel burn compared to a jet. Half the runway length required, 3,000 feet instead of 6,000. And double the possibilities, double the number of airports you can land to. So that's going to recreate direct air connectivity to many, many communities in convenient places, even closer to the city centers as an example. And we love it. We love it. So we are very serious about launching the operation and making sure this is a success. That's another game changer. So I talked about freighter, I talked about the 30-seat segment. We are also, by the way, launching with independent airlines like you have seen Alocean Airways in Alaska, our ATR 600 series that will commence operations later in the months to come. And we are also, therefore, developing the 50-seater. So bottom line, what I wanted to say with all this is we are adapting the product to the market needs of the United States of America. 30-seaters in Part 135, 50-seaters triple class, 70-seaters single class, and even freighter. we're there for you. But before closing, I wanted a North Star, like one last thing. The one last thing is the future. And I'm sure many players around the room and in the world have plans and clean sheet designs and you name it for the future. We have, of course, our own EVO program concept, like Evolution, which is an ATR 72 here, hybridized with a combination of a thermal engine with 100% sustainable aviation fuel and electric engine that are combined to reduce emissions even further. So if you have sustainable aviation fuel and electric hybridization, you are cutting emissions by more than 90% compared to current jets. That is significant. But the good thing about this is that we have a very credible roadmap. Here you see on the screen, and that was announced last week, we have been awarded by the European Commission under the Clean Aviation Program, which, to make it simple, is about a $1 billion research and development program for Europe and Canada, by the way. We've been awarded 2 projects. 1, to work on the integration of hybridization, and 2, to basically fly a demonstrator before 2030. That's how concrete this is. Like, this is, the program is awarded, it's going to launch in January, right, Daniel? And we're going to fly an aircraft in fact, before the end of 2029, so before 2030. That's how credible, that's how solid our roadmap is. And I just want to close on that because I want to make you realize that we are manufacturing airplanes today, we are improving the product on all 4 segments I mentioned, and we are having a credible roadmap for the future of the hybridization of aviation. That, I think, is about what I wanted to say, and I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I hope we have follow-on discussions as you want. Come and see our cabin mock-up, by the way, come and see our mobility monitor if you are geeks in analyzing demand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexis, for that wonderful discussion about regional connectivity and all you do to raise awareness, and thank you for your partnership.